right now, all sessions will be archived and will be available on the Quick Links page on our website, which is globaleducationconference.com, under Robert's name. The recording will be processed and posted within an hour after the session, so make sure you check back for that. And it will be up for posterity for as long as possible. So you can always revisit it during the year if you want to show this to somebody else or whatever. So everything will be recorded and you will be able to access it later on. We want to give special thanks to our sponsors today, iEarn USA, BrainPot, Flat Classroom, Little Lives, Big Dreams, Blackboard Collaborate, and TechSmith. This event would not be possible without the support and enthusiasm that we have received from our sponsors. So thank you, everyone. The first thing that we want to do to kind of get Robert a little oriented with where we're going here is we want to indicate where we are from. And I'm going to give everybody whiteboard privileges so that you can take the pointer with the star in your tools. And I think everybody, and I'm kind of spastic at this, so hopefully you can do it. There's a little star in the tool bar next to the whiteboard. You may have to click on it twice, and then I want you to indicate where you are on the map. Right now it looks like we've got a lot of people in the U.S. And this is always a fun activity to see where everybody is. We have somebody in France, maybe? In our first session, we had people from all over the place, so it was really fun. It also gives you an indication of who's asleep, too, at this hour in other parts of the world. So that's the other thing that we need to do. Robert has already loaded his slides, so I'm going to go to the first one, and I'm going to let him take over. But again, Robert, thank you so much for coming. We're educators and people from organizations all over the world, hopefully, and to give you a sense of your audience. And just tell us your story and give us a few minutes at the end to do some Q&A.
Hello, everyone. This is Robert. Can everyone hear me? I guess you can't really, maybe type in the chat. Can everyone hear me? Yeah? Okay. Well, thank you so much, Lucy, for having me. I'm going to just quickly go through some photos that I take. They started in New Orleans as a love note to the city, and they are now basically messages to the world. And we've photographed some really interesting people, and I want to tell a few of those stories today as well. So we're going to go on a little tour here right quickly, though. If you want, follow me. I'm going to show you a little video first. So this is my website that we're going to go to. And if you could, everyone, scroll down to the second person. It's actually a video. The woman has love as a movement. And I guess we'll all just go ahead. You have to hit play on your computers as well. Love started at a party. So we made that video probably about 6 months ago. Dear World is really only about 6 months old, but I have been photographing in New Orleans for about a year and a half under Dear New Orleans. And I usually just like to show people what we do rather than talk about it, but we can get going through some of these photographs, and I'll probably just click through many of them and let you just kind of watch some of the work we have that began in New Orleans. So I like to highlight Paul Hawkins. This is a photograph that really matters to me. You know, it's kind of self-explanatory, but Paul doesn't own a car, and he was stuck in the Superdome in 2005. You know, kind of a failure of our, you know, just lack of planning to be able to move residents who don't own cars safely out of the city. And Paul moved to Texas for many years and had just come home. And I took this probably, I don't know, 6 or 8 months ago. So he had followed Dear New Orleans online, facebook.com/Dear New Orleans, and said, look, I've been waiting to take this photograph for 5 years. So it was really a nice moment for me to actually be able to photograph someone who was in the Superdome 6 years ago. I call this guy Oliver Twist. He's one of our most viewed photographs, and I just love him. I show him everywhere I go. I've been really lucky to photograph recognizable people. This is Drew Brees. He's the quarterback of the New Orleans Saints, and just an amazing guy. And this was taken the day that they got their Super Bowl rings in 2010. This photograph was taken on the 5th anniversary of Hurricane Katrina. It's a woman named Nisa Tessier in front. She's a friend of mine. And I take a lot of people's portraits, and everyone's voice matters and everyone's stories matter, but some stand out to me, and this one is certainly on the short list. So soon after we started doing Dear New Orleans, I recognized that these portraits mattered for other things, and we did an oil spill series. So this one's really one of my favorites, actually. This is James Carville, of course, and I sometimes when I have to, you know, get some more famous people to do it, you know, it takes a little sales work, and I'm showing them photographs and saying, hey, you know, we're, you know, having people write a love note to the city, and this was right around the oil spill. So James Carville, he looked at me and he says, I got it. And then I just started recognizing that we have this opportunity to do a lot of incredible work around other things, you know, mortality, life, death, and this is one of my favorites we did with a couple here in New Orleans. The baby is now born and healthy. This is a victim of sexual assault. She's totally fine with me showing this photograph, which is really, I consider it quite an honor that she's wanted to show her face and wanted to show her body. We took it at an event, Take Back the Night, which is a, sexual violence, protests that happens on college campuses. So this was taken at Tulane University last year. So Ralph and Rebecca Surpass are two of my friends now. I guess I get to become friends with a lot of people through this process. And he pulled me aside at a random event and said, look, can I do something more personal? And, it turns out I spoke to him many months later about why he did it, to give a talk, actually. And he said, look, I had just gotten a call from my physician. And, after 3 years of cancer, I had gone into remission. So this was a photograph pretty early on in my time with Dear New Orleans. Dear World didn't exist. It hadn't launched Dear World formally, but we were doing things that were not New Orleans-y and that had a lot bigger reach. And this is the one where I really knew that we were doing some cool stuff. So Emily Wren is an amazing story too. She's at the Harvard Business School. She was adopted when she was 2 years old from Korea. She was born out of wedlock, and she told this story about defending the American dream. She really holds that quite dear to her heart because without the American parents who adopted her and brought her to the United States, she would have lived a very different life being born out of wedlock in Korea. And this is just, an amazing photograph for me. And also that she went into the bathroom and wiped off her arms and wrote it in Korean. She's actually developed a relationship with her birth mother over the last 2 years, and they speak via phone about once a month. With a translator, though, because her mom doesn't speak Korean and Emily doesn't, her mom doesn't speak English and Emily really doesn't speak Korean either. She reads it a little bit. This is a guy named Hunter Riley. He works for Pat Tillman, the Pat Tillman Foundation. Pat Tillman was an NFL football player who died in Afghanistan after enlisting in the Army after September 11th. But Hunter's a really incredible person in his own right, and I just loved his message. We did a Dear Japan series right after the earthquake, and with a lot of Japanese Americans, and just always honored to be able to do this kind of work with folks who are going through tough times. This is a woman named Beatrice Bira. If you know Heifer International, it's an organization that you can buy like a goat or a cow in developing countries, and give it to folks. So Beatrice is kind of the poster child of Heifer. She got a goat when she was 12 years old in Uganda, and she now is a graduate of American University, a bachelor and a master's degree, and is living in New York City and just doing amazing work for empowering girls and women in the developing world. I got to photograph Jesse Jackson. It was really cool. We're always doing neat work with people who kind of changed the course of history. So I've left a few of the final slides for the end that have some education tilts to it. I don't know, I mean, Lucy said she's from Chicago, but there's some school reform going on in Chicago that's had some, you know, some people are taking some sides. So it was kind of neat to photograph Mayor Emanuel and hear everyone chuckle when they see the photograph with longer school day, because he's really on the longer school day side. And it was cool to take his photograph. But this is the one that matters to me a lot. And we're going to go on a little tour, web tour here as well. If you have a second, follow me along. I'm going to tell you a little story about Daryl Scott, who is pictured. Okay, so I want you guys to read this. You're all educators, or many of you are educators, so you're probably in the same boat reading this as you may have typed this or written this about one of your students. But this is an email that I got from Daryl Scott's teacher.
Not seeing it, Robert. Did you hit return or anything?
Return or anything?
You guys can't see it? I see it on mine, no?
I think it's me. Never mind.
I think it's me. Never mind.
Hold up. Sorry, guys. So that's Sarah. I got to see and meet Sarah for a different photo shoot. So I always love showing Daryl Scott, but also Sarah, because you know, it's really an honor to speak to so many educators. I live with an assistant principal at a charter school here in New Orleans, and I'm astounded at the work that you guys put in. And it's just great to be able to speak to you and be able to have photographed so many people who are doing great work in education. You know, my hope for Daryl Scott is I don't think utterly ambitious at all. I think that Daryl Scott has an opportunity to go to college, and you know, 6 years from now, he's 12 now, so you know, 6 years from now, I hope that he's, you know, kissing his mom and packing his bags and you know, going off to school for the first time, and has that fear that you and I probably all had, you know, when we left home. So, you know, that's my hope, and I'm just grateful to have been able to, you know, take his photograph. And I want to end. I want to end with one more. It's a little bit of a jump, but here in New Orleans, we have an issue with violence, and I have a dear friend who was shot a few weeks ago, and I'm going to show you his stuff right now as well. Here, one sec. Your world from that reason here. Yeah. And if you guys could hit play again, that would be great.
All right. My name is Rafael Delgadillo.
Hey, Robert, are you ready for Q&A? I don't see the video. I see your front page of your website. Ah, there we go. Okay. Be careful, people, not to click on the URL in the web tour. I'm not sure if you have permissions to do that or not, but that may affect things. So I'm posting the link in the bottom so you can see it on your own if you need to.
Are you guys there? You know, I hope you can watch this video. I know it's a leap from education to violence, but here in New Orleans, we talk long and hard about violent crime in New Orleans is done by lack of folks with lack of opportunity. And I think, of course, you guys talk about this all the time in education, but giving kids an opportunity to do well matters a lot, and we're personally affected by it down here. So I hope I can take some questions and answers now, and it's just great to be able to tell the story to you guys.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
What I think everybody is a couple things I'm curious about. So I'm going to start out asking my questions, and if anybody else has a question, please raise your hand using the little hand icon above in the participants window right underneath where it says participants. There's a little hand that you can raise. Raised it, mine. And then we'll take questions. But I have a couple questions for you. First of all, what's your background? You grew up in New Orleans. Did you go to college? How did you get trained in photography? That kind of stuff. I'd be curious about that. And then two, if you want to talk a little bit more about Katrina and how it affected New Orleans, a lot of our participants are not necessarily from the U.S., so they may not necessarily realize what an amazingly horrific event it was. So could you talk a little bit about your background, a little bit about your involvement with New Orleans, and that would be really helpful.
Yeah, no, forgive me for that, guys. My background is I was a journalism major in college and not a classically trained photographer. I really think that this is more about the photo subjects more than anything, but this all began here in New Orleans, where 1,400 people died in the hurricane in 2005, Hurricane Katrina, and I just came down in a public service program called AmeriCorps in 2007, basically right about a year after I graduated college. So I've been here ever since, and that's how I got to New Orleans. And I think New Orleans is indicative of some of the best things and some of the worst things that are around, in terms of, at least in America and our national consciousness, how did something like that happen? So, but I really think that we have kind of a redemptive story to tell as well, one that I'm really happy to kind of be a part of in a little way.
Really awesome. Can I ask you another question? How do you? I think what's really in the chat. I'm noticing that people are really drawn to the combination of the words with the poses, with expressions on people's faces, and that's really, how do you get people to evoke all of that through an image? I mean, is there anything that you talk to them about, or do you try to make them feel comfortable? How do you get them to be so pithy? This is what I'm trying to say. They're beautiful images.
Can you repeat that for me real quick, Lucy?
Sorry. How do you get your subject to come up with such great statements about themselves, and because your portraits capture, their body language, the actual words, their expressions on their faces, they're so beautiful. How do you get that out of your subject, out of your portrait subject?
Well, I think we do a few things. Well, hopefully do enough advanced work for people to, usually I get to give us a talk or speak and show some other photographs before we take other people's. So that gives, people some time to reflect on what they want to say. And then, more than anything, I think it's what I've been able to look into is executing a nice portrait on their behalf. So it's a little bit of both.
So struck by how powerful those messages are, and so I think teachers now are looking at these photos and are seeing them as something worth, the technique, the style, whatever you want to call it, it's something that they'd like to maybe duplicate or do a riff on in their classrooms with maybe writing projects to go with it. Have you seen other classrooms kind of do this? Is it okay for people? I mean, your images I'm assuming are copywritten. But is it okay for people to emulate this style and have their own kind of thing?
Yeah,
I don't know. That's what I'm curious about.
I'd like to have people do it on our behalf. I just had people follow me to dearworld.me/B. And you can organize your own Dear World photo shoot in your community. What I would like to have happen, though, is people make an investment in either paying a local photographer with the right amount of gear and equipment to do the work. I think half the battle is making sure it's a beautiful portrait, and that really can't be done with your off-the-stock camera, and it certainly can't be done with fluorescent lighting, which unfortunately probably most schools are. But yeah, no, if people wanted to do it, fill out the organizer application at dearworld.me/B. And if we can come to an agreement, we display them on our page. So this is one of our best examples of that. Is a friend of mine who interned in Afghanistan this summer and did a whole series with Afghani kids.
Love it. It's a great picture. Are there any plans for you? Two more questions, and then maybe some other people will have questions. But one, have you gone abroad doing this quite a bit? And two, are there plans for a book or anything like that? What's the next step for you in this?
So yeah, I would love to do a book. I haven't been approached by any publishers yet, though, so we'll see if that ever happens. Maybe it will. And in terms of international work, we've done work abroad. I haven't done any of it on my own.
How many people do you have working for you or on your team or however it's organized?
What's that?
How many people are involved in your team?
It's just me, and I have some friends who help me out along the way when I can.
I love it. I wish I thought of this when I was your age. This is really great. Okay. Anybody else have any comments or questions they want to ask Robert about the pictures? If you wanted to go back to the stream and discuss it, that would be great. But if you want to ask a question, just raise your hand. It's the button right on the left-hand side where it says participants. There's a hand that you raise, and then I'll give you microphone privileges, and you can ask the question. You guys are strangely silent. I know half the people in this room, and I know that they have more to say than that. Okay, Norman has a question. Hang on, Norman. Let me give you the mic.
Hi.
Hey.
I think this is a great idea. I'm not sure why the video is. Both of my meters are moving. There. Okay. My question is, how do you add spontaneity to it?
There?
Yeah, that's it. How do you add spontaneity to it?
Oh, that's a good question. I haven't, I think the spontaneity for me, I've kind of stayed away from user-generated content and have done more of like the scheduled reflective route. The people, I've had some time to reflect on what they want to say. So I don't know. We could do some pop-up shoots, I guess, and have people just, we grab people on the street.
Okay, next question from me. I have one more question. I hope I'm not getting the echo. What kind of pen do you use? I mean, I'm assuming that Ron Emanuel is not still walking around Chicago with that written out of the palms of his hand. Is it like a grease pencil? What is it? Yeah, Robert, make sure you turn the microphone off when I'm talking, and then I'll turn it off when you're talking.
It's dry erase.
Easy enough. A little background on the ROM story. I don't think people here in Chicago are anti longer school day. It's to the kids' benefit, and in Chicago they've had the shortest school day in the country, basically. But the problem is the teacher's contract isn't open for another year, and ROM doesn't want to wait, and so he went about offering additional monies and stuff to schools that would vote on their own to extend the school day. And I think maybe 10 to 12 schools did. And, I think everybody, wants it, but we just want to see a plan in place for it. So some teachers have not been exactly crazy about this. And it did not, his enthusiasm for this did not spread like wildfire throughout the schools. So the other 400 schools did not vote to go this way. But it's definitely coming down the pike. But he's definitely an interesting mayor to watch, and so I love those portraits. They're great. So you're still getting echo, Jackie? That's really strange. Anybody else have a question? I'm going to turn off my mic. Okay, well, everybody, I hope that you will take some time to look through. If you don't have any questions now, I hope you'll take some time and look through Robert's website and also on Facebook, where he's got tons of photos up there from various events he's been to. The Global Clinton Initiative one really struck me as Chicago Ideas Week, so make sure you take a look at those. And if you're interested in doing this with your own students, make sure that you take a look at his website, because there's an agreement that you can register with him and possibly do something that's similar to this based on his concept. And the one thing that he asked us to do, if you didn't catch this, is to hire a good photographer who can provide something of quality. I think that there's something lost on this if you don't have a really beautiful photograph to begin with. I mean, I think there are a lot of components that make those photos compelling, and doing it well is certainly part of it. So make sure you take a look at this stuff. You can find Robert on Twitter, and I hope that we see more of your work. I can't believe it's only 6 months old, Robert. That just totally floors me. So I know that you're going to be doing bigger and more things with this, and we'll help spread the word, because we really love what you're doing.
Thank you for having me.
I'll be around you guys if you want to stay and ask questions. Otherwise, in about 20 minutes, the next set of sessions are going to be starting. I don't know if I can give you a quick link to where they're going to be. The easiest thing to do is to go to globaleducationconference.com, click on schedule and sessions link, and I'll post this for you, and you can see schedule in your own time zone. This is probably the easiest way to find content. And if you have sorry. Let me see if I can turn it off. There we go. Okay. Here's the link to the schedule, so you can see in your own time zone what's coming up next. There's still more exciting stuff to come this afternoon and into the evening. And if you're looking for a particular speaker, there's a quick links page that has everything, all the keynotes and all the speakers, and it's by name. And this session will be recorded and will be archived there under Robert's name in about an hour. I'm going to have to kick all of you guys out of the chat room eventually to have that recording process. But you'll be able to find it on this space. Hope that will help you kind of navigate to the next thing. If you have any questions, raise your hand and I'll be happy to answer. Otherwise, we'll just hang out here for a while, and if you have anything to say, talk.